today on Wednesday, April 19th. Maybe a lot of you are relieved. Sure. That's George throwing me water. That'll always look the same every day when that happens because I don't drop things. And repeat, I do not drop things.
Now everyone's going to watch for you to drop something.
Do not drop anything.
Only thing I want to see is you drop something now.
Nope. Ask Ulysses Gomez. He's been throwing shit at me for like the last 4 months, waiting for that moment, and it still hasn't happened.
You ever go into the notes or the comments?
Sometimes.
On the big junkie page?
No, never on the junkie page.
No? Boy, man.
Brutal, huh?
Some of the contributions are really good, and then some are highly questionable. Isn't there a show called Highly Questionable?
Yeah.
They could just do a show off our comments. Like, there'll be people that hit me with like 20 straight comments.
Minutes?
Wow. I mean, like, how are they so wound up that they're just like, oh, this and that. How about point A? How about point B? How about C? Have you heard of F? Have you heard of G? Have you heard of H? Mm-hmm. Calm down. Like, pick something, you know. I mean, I'm not going to respond to all of them. But
it depends.
In the midst of it all, there's a love the show, so I don't want to like bury anybody. Appreciate any time anybody listens, and
I enjoy people's
would love
passion.
for everyone to tell a friend, you know. But yeah. What were you saying?
No, I enjoy people's passion. When there's certain people at certain topics, they'll just really dive into and nerd out. And sometimes, you know, it's different. Like text, internet. It's hard to get a read on what the person's actual emotions are. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll read stuff and I'll go, well, I don't think he would have said that in front of me.
Like right now, people are like, start the fucking show. And what they don't realize is at 10:02, it officially, there's an intro, and around 10:03, we start talking. So, like, literally, we can't start anyway. We just figured we'd turn it on so we could bullshit with you guys for a few minutes before we go on.
Yeah, we were told it's easier to do it this way
30
because
seconds.
it gives people a chance to sit down, relax, and get ready.
Yeah.
That's why you don't go to the movie theaters and it just movie starts, right?
Right.
You'd be sitting in darkness for a while. Oh, what's going on?
Right.
Previews.
And that's like 20 minutes of previews. I think I sat through
It's
30 minutes once.
Now, right?
I heard people used to say it's 30 minutes. I'm like, calm down. It's like 15. And then the other day I sat, like, I showed up. I always show up around 10 minutes after. And sometimes they time it perfect. Sometimes there's like a few left. But this time there was literally another 15 minutes of it. Bullshit, man.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me as always is the devious and dastardly Goes, our co-host. And back east, he's handling all the producing duties today, tomorrow, and Friday. It's Danny. What's up, guys?
What up?
We're listening to the show that matters, and we're off and running here. What?
No, all morning. Have you been looking up at the...
Aaron Hernandez?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. We were talking on the pre-show that feedback from Facebook can be all over the place. We have we're broadcasting live for you YouTubers. We're actually on Facebook as well. And you Facebookers, we're on YouTube as well. It's facebook.com/official MMA Junkie and youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video. But of course, SiriusXM Rush 93 is where you catch that best crisp audio. So I always tell people that on-demand feature, you got to check it out too, man. Danny condenses it, Sam and Victoria, to no commercials. So I've been diving into that a little bit more, and that's pretty chill. But anyway, going back to some of the comments that are coming through. They wanted us to comment on Aaron Hernandez. What do we think? Yeah. He was a very bad person. I know there was some charges he was acquitted of, but it didn't matter because he was going to be incarcerated for life. Him taking his own life, I don't know what to say about that, man. What do you do? He had a 4-year-old daughter. And at one of the previous hearings, he was blowing her kisses and waving at her. And I know he can't be there for her, like a normal father could every day, come home to her. And I don't know what his relationship would have been with her. But, damn, I guess if I'm in those shoes, I pay my debt to society. And maybe people can learn from my mistakes. But I'd like to see my daughter grow up. And even from a distance, I guess. I don't know, man.
It's difficult
for
me
troubled
to relate to that because I consider myself a healthy mental person. Okay, when I'm put in bad situations, I've always been able to make the right decisions, calm down. If I don't like a person, I go, I can't stand that guy. Man, I'd like to kill him, but we can't do that. Because then I would feel terrible. And because I could get caught and I'd put my family through a lot, I'm able to make these decisions. Okay, I can't relate to a guy like this because he couldn't. Right, he got put in stupid situations where little things set him off, and he did bad stuff. Right,
and I heard that he always did bad stuff.
Yeah,
like this wasn't just, oh my God, he came into some money and ran into the wrong crowd. No, apparently he was doing bad stuff for a long time.
And that's the thing. Everybody's in a different situation, right? Money, fame, those are probably his vices, what came into his life and maybe changed him from the guy that people knew growing up in junior high and elementary school. Those things, these factors come into your life, they change you as a person. I do believe that if that came into my life, maybe I would change a little bit, but I think that foundation would always be the same and I'd still be able to make the correct decisions. Because I'm able to do that and I'm in that state, I don't feel bad for this guy. Okay, I know that sounds cruel, but I don't. I just don't feel bad for him. I mean, if you want to call me a shitty person, all right. I feel bad that happened. I feel bad for his kid. I feel bad for his family. But, hey, man, I mean, I go through shitty times in life, too. And somehow I'm able to make the right
You're saying he should have manned up and just paid his debt? And was it
no,
without the possibility of parole, or was there a possibility of parole?
For me, George, I really don't care. If that's what his decision, if he wants to end his life, that's on him. And that's on his family. I don't know, but to me, it doesn't really affect me. I don't feel bad for him. I feel bad for everyone else. But I do realize that other people are in different situations mentally. He's been in a really shitty place for the last year.
I feel bad for his daughter. But other than that, I could really care less.
I mean, you see what happens when we visit these troops, right? And they come back from Iraq, Afghanistan, really bad places. They're different. They're different. It does something to your brain. So I can't really stick that knife in his back and go, you're a piece of shit, because I know that does do stuff to you. But I myself, going through things in life, have been able to keep it together. I know a lot of people who have.
Well, he did seem like a piece of shit to me.
Yeah, and so I can't relate to him. I just can't.
Yeah. Well, Aaron Hernandez, almost said Fernandez. Aaron Hernandez, New England Patriots tight end, took his life this morning, about 2 hours ago, maybe 3 hours, and he hung himself. They found him at 3 a.m. with the bed sheet. Did the old bed sheet trick, I guess, from the ceiling, from the door, from the bed. I didn't even read the details. I could care less. Honestly, I just felt bad that, little girl was put through all that because of this guy's moronic decisions.
Well, she had already been through so much, right?
Yeah.
Just being told that you're probably never going to see your dad. You'll see him, but you're never going to be able to go to a ball game with him or whatever it is people like to do with their kids. That's already traumatizing. and then add this, I don't know. But then other people would say, hey, good riddance. He's out of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
Yeah. All right. I got the odds here for UFC Fight Night on Fox. Didn't really label this right. It's UFC Fight Night 108. It's on Fox Sports 1 and 2 and the Fight Pass. You have to skip some channels. It goes Fight Pass, Fox Sports 2, then Fox Sports 1 on Saturday, headlined by Cub Swanson and Artem Lobov. I'll tell you what the odds are right now, and then we'll get a little bit more into this later, but they were sitting right there and decided to grab them. There's not many. They still have TBA here, so I may go to bestfightodds.com to finish things out. But the two big ones are it's Cub Swanson versus Artem Lobov. Cub Swanson's up to minus 625. He was like 5-something yesterday, but the money keeps pouring in on Cub Swanson. He keeps going higher and higher and higher. If somebody's wondering how gambling works, if you just straight play Cub Swanson, you got to walk up to this window here at Mandalay Bay or wherever you can legally wager and put $625 to win 100 or 62.5 to win 10, whatever the ratios are. I guess if you're a baller, you'd be walking up with 6,250 to win 1,000. If you take so basically it's high risk for little reward, but you get Cub Swanson. That's what the odds maker's saying. Hey, you got the favorite here. Artem Lobov is plus 450. Here's a scenario where you walk up with 10 and they pay you 45. You walk up with 100 and they pay you 450. You walk up with 1,000, they pay you 4,500. You have the underdog. You have increased odds. So what they're saying is, hey, we'll pay you a lot, but you're stuck with Artem Lobov. Now, if you feel Artem Lobov can win the fight, you best be running to make a play on him. I don't feel like he can. I mean, he's got hands. Don't get me wrong. But I think Cub Swanson's got slightly better and technical hands. I think Lobov has knockout power. But I think Cub does as well. And again, he's more technical. And then he's more well-rounded in other facets of MMA. So I see why he's minus 625. Whether he's 500, 400, 600, 800, I don't know. He should be a pretty decent favorite. But again, if you're on the side of Lobov has a chance, or I think Lobov can win, actually more on Lobov can win versus he has a chance, maybe you might want to look into this. Ally Quint, what your thoughts on those odds?
I think they're too high. Love me the Cub Swanson, great fighter, and I think he should be a heavy favorite. But that number right there is, if you look at Cub Swanson and you look at his losses, he has a lot of losses against guys that he should have beat. Okay.
He does?
Yeah, I think so. The Jens Pulver fight, I thought he should have won that fight. Okay?
Yeah, even he would admit that one.
Even the Ricardo Lamas fight, he was in control in that fight.
But Lamas has proven to be a good fighter, a great fighter.
But it was Cub's sloppiness that led to the mistake where he lost that fight. And because of little things like that, I would be afraid to put that amount of money on a favorite. That amount of money, that's reserved for guys like John Jones and Daniel Cormier, guys that just don't really have too many hiccups inside the cage. So I think that price is too high.
That said, would you put money on Lobov or just watch it as a fan? Let's just say put the Cub alliance to the side.
Watch it as a fan.
Yeah.
Cub Swanson's a nightmare. He's going to be hitting Artem from every angle.
Right.
And he doesn't get tired.
Ally Quintas minus 380. Diego Sanchez plus 300. Aya Quintas coming off a 2-year layoff, and he's still a pretty big favorite, almost 4-1. Minus 380 to win 100 or 100 to win 300 on Diego Sanchez. Once again, if you believe Sanchez has a shot, there's some money to be made here. I'm going to rephrase it one more time. I really want to drive this home. It's a good point taught to me by my friend Joey Odessa, who said, forget about value. There's a shot, this, that. Do you believe he can win the fight? Does he have a real good chance to win the fight because of whatever breakdown you've done or whatever films you've seen? And if he does, then go for it, man. Put your money down. If you lose, live with your decision. But don't just think that if lightning strikes, so-and-so's due, 11th hour, miracles, whatever. You have to firmly believe that this person has the skill set to beat the other one. Otherwise, don't do it. Don't, do it because you feel like he can win. I don't feel Diego Sanchez can win the fight. But I also am scared off by minus 380 because this is fucking MMA, man. And this is such a crazy sport. Anything can happen. All it takes is 4-ounce connect on your chin and you're wobbly, and next thing you know, the other guy is basically facing a guy who's wobbled, seeing 3, seeing stars. Doubt is creeping. There's voices in his head, and guess what? You got elbows and knees and kicks and shins and fists and everything imaginable to try and finish the guy. That's just not a good equation for anybody. However, I have studied the card a little bit, and I think there are some plays elsewhere. And if you open up bestfightodds.com or odessa.com, I'll go over some odds in a bit.
Do you ever feel like, do you ever look at the main event of a card, and if that line is that disparaging, does it almost bother you that it's a main event?
Well, a lot of people have a problem with this, especially with Artem Lobov in the main event. That was a comment I saw yesterday on Facebook. I go in there after the show. I try and do it same day. Sometimes I'm a day late or whatever. And somebody's asking, why is Lobov on? I didn't have a good answer other than in 2016, the UFC stacked so many of their shows, and that's why they had the best pay-per-view year ever. They stacked a lot of their shows. A lot of their superstars, fought or came back or whatever. And New York, 200, a lot of landmark numbers. And I knew that the first quarter was going to suffer a bit. Well, in doing so, you saw a couple of the pay-per-views. They were just okay. They weren't sexy. They kind of, they just weren't as deep as some of the ones in 2016. They're starting to come around, though. Why? Because a lot of those fighters have rested and come back from injuries, and now they're, getting back in the fray. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, I just believe that when it came to Nashville time, they had to make a decision, and they kind of had to reach a little bit, Hey, Swanson, he deserves the main event. He's done it before. Well, what do we do? What do we give him? Well, we've already ran that guy. I mean, like, Lamas doesn't have a matchup yet, I don't believe. But we already did that. Gil's referenced that earlier. And, well, Aldo's tied up with Holloway, and, and so they start going down their list of who's available, and there's not as many names available. So what they do is I think they say, look, we're going to stretch it a little bit and come in with Lobov. He's got the McGregor push. He's popular through the show. He does come to bang. The people will walk out feeling like it was a pretty decent main event because Lobov will put on a show for sure, win or lose. And then if we give him a few other names here and there, I think we can pad it with some of the more mid-tier names until we can kind of just get to May, I guess, and really, really start to, fatten up the steak a little bit. And that's what UFC 211 is going to do in Dallas. That's an incredible card.
In the main event, my magic number, I never want to see anything more than 350.
Favorites?
Yeah. But 3 is really where I'm comfortable.
But this is going to be a fight, right? Because Lobov, there's some people out there that are big underdogs, and it's because they don't have a certain skill set. But the one thing they can do is, and they'll trade. They got balls, and they can throw hands, and so you will be treated to some sort of a show, in my opinion. So that part I don't mind. But yes, as far as competitive and within the scheme of climbing towards the top of a division, yeah, this doesn't really present that. For Cub, it's a paycheck. I'm sure he's happy. They built up a little bit of animosity. Both guys chirped at each other. But in the end, this won't really impact anything other than if Cub loses. If Cub wins, he just keeps going forward. If he loses, obviously that's a big tumble, and it's a big move for Lobov. Mm-hmm. But I still think that there's certain names out there that can pull that off.
All right.
Yeah. Chaz Skelly will join us today. Speaking of UFC 211, he'll be a guest. We also had, it may still have made the preview, Brandon Moreno escaped us again.
Again?
Yeah. But he's very polite, and he's communicating. So I really like the kid. And if we caught it in time. If not, you might see it on the preview. He's moved to tomorrow's show. Upon looking at the schedule, he had a kind of a heavy schedule around the time. And I kind of appreciate that rather than go the route. Because remember, he had a little bit of a no-show on Monday. And that was a little bit of lost in translation. I was working with his camp in Tijuana, who was relaying him info in Denver. So that's cool. He's been on before. He's very polite, apologized. And so we tried to circle back to today, and now it looks like we're going to have him on tomorrow. But
who has the record?
I'm excited about that guy. I think he's got great prospects. And you can just tell that he's nowhere near his peak. So it's going to be fun to watch that ascension. The record for what?
The record for being booked on a show and then saying like, hey, I can't do today. Can we do tomorrow? Can't do tomorrow. Can we do?
You know who I had a struggle with? 1 year, Paul Daly stayed in this hotel. He was training at Tap Out right up the street on Hacienda, and he was staying at Mandalay Bay. But we didn't have each other's number. I don't even know if he had a mobile. So we were working off email and leaving messages at the hotel. WhatsApp wasn't around. This was literally like
Leaving
5-6 years ago.
Hotel?
Yeah, I was trying that, and you know how you call someone's room and they go,
yeah.
The party is not. Yeah. So there was no WhatsApp. There was no Voxer. I hadn't heard of them. They may have existed. And I don't know that I was. If we used Facebook, I think Facebook. He's big on Facebook. He's not a Twitter guy. So we were just trying, and it was running into Tompkins' practice. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
It was running into Tompkins' team practice, and then him and the girl were gonna go do some sightseeing, and it was just a big clusterfuck. And in the end, we didn't do it. So I've teased him a couple times about it. I mean, a whole week goes. He was literally like Monday through Sunday. Oh, here's one. Kyle Kingsbury knocked out a guy named Ricardo.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Constantino's buddy?
Yeah. He fucked him up, man. There was a UFC here at Mandalay Bay. All I have to do is look it up. Bear with me here.
That dude was cool.
It was Kyle Kingsbury.
I think he got in some trouble, though, didn't he?
Did he?
I thought so.
He was a wrestler. I know that. And he was undersized for 205. And Kyle's a pretty big dude, man. He played football as a D lineman, 6'4". Anyway, in that fight, it was, we're not even going to try and remember, but it was Ricardo Romero. We would have never guessed. UFC 126. And Homeboy destroyed him. Like, Kyle Kingsbury destroyed him in 21 seconds. So, I talked to Heidi, who works at Zinken, and that's one of their fighters is Kyle. Booked him. And we are actually having an interview with him in our old studio here at Mandalay Bay. And as we're talking, it is revealed to us that he's upstairs. So it wasn't really a cat and mouse, but I just remember thinking, fool, like it was a cat and mouse to try and get him booked. But had she just told me he's staying there, I probably could have used my sources to just find out, leave him a message, and come to that conclusion, But it was a little bit of a cat and mouse to get him on the show, just because it was a weekend. You win on a Saturday, you party a little bit, and then on a Sunday you recover, your phone's off. Who knows? So by Monday, we did get him, and I was happy to get him. But then when finding out he had done most of the interview, like 90% of the interview, and then it came out that he was at Mandalay Bay right upstairs, I was like, oh, boy.
Well, you did leave him a message.
I did?
Yeah.
What'd I say?
I think it was...
Hi, Kyle.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. Hey, find me that MMA history thing.
Okay.
That Twitter. I want to know what happened today. Kind of curious. Let me see, 93? So we're entering 23 and a half years of the existence of MMA. And I'm going off UFC, the timeline for, I'm not saying forget about Pancrase, but NHB, Pancrase, anything that was around before that. I'm just not going to use those dates. I'm just going to use November 12, 1993. Birthplace, for the most part, for mixed martial arts. It's acknowledged. And, but in 23 and a half years, there's a lot of things that have been done. And this is something that I came across when we interviewed Jason Mayhem Miller yesterday. April had been a big month for him around that time. He had won a title. He had that fight out there with the 209 gang. Like it was on April 17th, and we interviewed him on the 18th. But on the 18th, I remember the Kalahos fight in Hawaii. Mayhem was a big star in Hawaii. So, I like that trip down memory. I definitely didn't bring up Frank Trigg's win over him.
I thought you were going to go that route.
Well, it was really about Kalahos, and I just didn't want to shove that. But so many people have heard me talk about that. I just mentioned it the other day as a Matt moment. But that was the Matt moment. We've been talking Dolomer Sports Surfaces having their Matt moment contest, and I shared one last Friday cornering Frank Trigg. He actually elected me to be one of his cornermen, along with Ron Frazier, Randy Couture, John Lewis. Now, in this particular fight, it was just Ron Frazier and I. So we went out there, and Mayhem was loved by the Hawaiian crowd. I mean, like one of their own. Halle Boy, they called him. And what I've never come to figure out is Halle's derogatory. It's this white boy or something like that. But I don't think it is.
From here.
It said a lot, and anyway. But he, I still remember prior to that, we had gone for another fight, and Ron goes, because I was the bucket guy, and he goes, hey, can you track down some more ice? And I go, sure. And as I'm walking around the back, I just remember some music came on, and these little kids were like playing tag or just goofing off outside, and all of a sudden they go, mayhem! And they dropped whatever they were doing, and them and some adults just ran in. Why? Because he had one of the most colorful entrances of any fighter. He always was
Max Holloway.
He was always very creative. Do you remember that? Yeah, it could have been Max Holloway. Who knows? It was 10 years ago. Max would have been about 15. No, these kids were like around 10, 8. But I just remember the reaction like, mayhem! And they stopped what they were doing, and they ran because everyone wanted to see Mayhem fight, but they also wanted to see his entrances. Mm-hmm. So in those promotions, you could use pride rules. You could soccer kick to the head and knee to the head. And so Mayhem referenced it that he was on the side of winning, using those rules, but also he was on the bad side, and that was the trig fight. So probably would have been a good chance for me to interject and say, oh, I had a good seat. I definitely had a good seat for that one. But regardless, that wasn't the whole point. Where were we?
MMA history today?
Oh, yeah.
April 19th, 2008. George St. Pierre once again becomes the UFC welterweight champion when he dominates Matt Serra in his hometown of
jacked
Montreal.
him up. Remember that?
I remember the shots to the body, to the knee. And
you could tell.
Matt just going, oh, with every single one of them.
I just wish GSP would have fought more ground and pound like in that fight versus other guys. But see, Matt was more of a tweener. He was too big for lightweight and probably an undersized welterweight. That said, he became a world champion. But regardless, some of those other guys, maybe he didn't want to take those types of chances or he couldn't hold them down and control them. But if GSP would have had more of those types of finishes, I think the love would have came sooner. After that, if I'm not mistaken, he had like 7 or 8 more title defenses. But I think they were all decisions. And we would all sit there, much like a Mayweather fight, and just look at each other like, there goes another 59-99. It's kind of like you already know what round 4 and round 5 is going to look like, more domination, and then he's really going to not say anything. Maybe they'll flash and show Mandy Moore or some actress. Mm-hmm. But not that you felt duped, but it just became, I don't know. It was one fight would replicate the other, much to like a Mayweather fight. And so part of it as a hardcore, as a junkie, was frustrating. But he built up his base little by little because regardless if it was 50-45, 50-46, whatever the scores were, he blasted some really, really good, credible #1 contender names.
Not the white knight for the guy, but I think a lot of fighters would say, yeah, I want a piece of GSP. And then after about 1 or 2 rounds would go, wow, I'm not going to beat this guy.
Like Danny?
So I'm going to try and make it to the end. And that's going to be my internal victory, not getting finished. So I think a lot of them just went into that defense mode. So I think that's maybe why he couldn't finish some of these guys. Mm-hmm. But another thing is, if you look back now, 2017, maybe it's that fighting style that allowed him to still be around, okay, and to not really have problems upstairs. He speaks well. I think he did the right thing.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. I'm going to just give a little bit of feedback here on social media, and then we'll take this break here. Wow. So Michael Corrales, Aaron Hernandez, you heard our thoughts. For those just tuning in, Aaron Hernandez, New England Patriots tight end, hung himself in his prison cell. He died earlier this morning. And, ironically, the Patriots are at the White House receiving their – do they receive anything or just meet with the president, right? Yeah. Is there anything? Any sort of a gift? Usually they come with a Trump jersey. Yeah. But, a lot of them decided not to go. I know a lot of them are making their statements. Some are already not with the team. Some have been before, they were saying, and then others just aren't feeling Trump. James Wayne says, stop BS. You're just trying to wait to get people to tune in. That's probably referencing the pre-show.
Yeah, stupid. We said that, didn't we?
What?
Yeah, you want people to tune in. When they jump on the channel, they have to see something to want to stay. If they don't see something, they leave.
Yeah.
That's pretty
stupid.
easy, isn't it?
Raimundo Martin with his Daily, we rollin', yeah. Maurice McCardle. Hello, he says. Well, hello.
Hi.
Saulo Navarro. Hey. Great contributions, guys. James Wayne. When is Bisping going to stop ducking fights? All right, I can see James Wayne's angle here. He's the one with the stop the BS. James Wayne, I want him to fight Romero much probably like you do, but I think he's been at least forthcoming in saying, man, they're offering me GSP, and that's a lot of money. Who would turn that down? And I kind of tend to agree with him that there's not many people that would go, nah, I want to make the hardcores happy and take Romero. I think the way he feels is, let me get by GSP, and then I'll fight Romero, but GSP is a boatload of money. Now, to his credit, whether you believe him or not, he told GSP, stop fucking around and sign, or I will take on Romero. I thought that was a pretty gangster move on his part to quell anybody that thinks he's running, whether he meant it or not, because we live in this unfortunate conspiracy world. I bought into it. He has been active over his years, and he has fought a lot of names that are just as scary as Yoel Romero, and so I side with him on that one.
I thought it was ballsy. If he would have told me, hey, Goes, this is what I'm about to do, the first thing I would have told him was, what if he says, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then what? That's rough.
Yeah. Well, GSP has said kind of okay, but he just says he's not ready. But then GSP did an interview recently. He cornered some guy in Russia, teammate of his, and he said, hey, listen, he goes, if I need to get in camp and basically step on the gas and do this, we'll do this. So he's been part of that USADA testing program for a while now. Somebody said he just had his first test the other day, but it's not when you have your first test. It's when you basically declare yourself an active fighter. Yeah. And I could have sworn he's got a couple months under his belt, so that shouldn't be the holdup. I really am just as curious as Bisping. What's the fucking holdup already? Like, you made the announcement. We sat through all this. Come on, man. July's still 3 months away. Book that date, for crying out loud. Mauricio, Salo, all of them saying hello. When is Ben Askren coming to the UFC? Good question there, Michael Feldman. They just announced the fight. Him and Angela Lee are fighting at the end of May in Singapore. One championship, love you guys, honestly, but come on, man. Like, get Askren somebody better. Like, somebody actually typed in the name of who that is, and I think if you go to Fight Matrix, they actually rank him up into the guy's like ranked almost 200. So, like, seriously, yeah, at least like Sapo Santos, we had seen him a few times. He had his fair share of fights. And there was some competition there, and then, of course, it was the whole weigh-in fiasco, but I could live with that name. But the name that they have for him, come on, man, like, seriously. And on Ben's side, I think he needs to he needs to lean on them and say, listen, man. Well, yeah, but I thought he was a competitor. I mean, he was driven by national titles and then a medal, and he seems to be financially okay. Like, he doesn't have to fight for the money, but there has to be some competitive juices flowing at some point where you go, give me some quality opposition. Mm-hmm. And so either start fighting someone or come to the UFC. I think by now, if you present him with a free agent Ben Askren, I think Dana White will take it. I might be wrong. I don't know. So? I think so.
I don't know.
I think he can be a little bit of a needle mover. I don't see how his attack is any different from Damian Maia's, honestly. And Damian Maia, it took him some time, but people consider him a star, someone they want to pay to watch. So this guy's an American, speaks English, an Olympian. I think you could market around that. He's with a good camp. Yeah.
The perfect plan has to be set for every fight.
Rub salt in the wounds.
And it has to be executed in every fight for him to be successful. In the UFC, if he were to come over, I would say there's certain fighters that come over and have a shorter distance to the title. He may be one, but it's not that much shorter than everyone else. So I'd say you'd have to put together about 3 of those. And those are tough dudes you'd have to do it over.
All right, well, we're going to take this break. When we come back, I will share with you my teaser for UFC Fight Night 108. It's Cub Swanson and Artem Lobov at the top of the bill, and it happens on Saturday across 3 platforms. The UFC Fight Pass early on. Got some prelims going. Then they moved to Fox Sports 2 at 8 Eastern, and then Fox Sports 1 at 10 Eastern. So it's going to be a 3-team parlay. I think I have a couple other names if you want to do one of those little $5 10. I call them team parlays, but 5-fight parlays. So some people do 5 or 10 cutesy little ones. And always try and hit that little mother load. So I may have one of those, but I think I have a strong 3-teamer, and I'll share that when we come back. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93.
Go ahead.
All right, so we're on commercial now with Sirius, but we're still streaming live on Facebook. This is a good chance for me to catch up a little bit on the social media. Shout out to Danny Creighton. He listens a lot. Him and I communicated via Facebook. I caught up on some Facebook messages yesterday, goes old ones.
Other messages?
Yeah, he's got some shows out in Arizona, and told him, listen, man, I've read them all. It's just that as much as I try to be concise, I like to take the time to like thank someone for writing me and then answer them, genuinely. Mm-hmm. And his were piling up, and there was some videos, but finally I saw them, and then I answered a few others. Somebody asked me where a good spot to watch Triple G was, and that was a month late on that one. Legacy Stadium, by the way, here at the Palazzo. If you're ever in Vegas and you just want to watch either MMA pay-per-view or boxing pay-per-view or just any type of sporting event, they usually have a good package going on, like the NFL draft next Thursday, not tomorrow, but next Thursday. If you want to, watch it somewhere in stadium seating, that's a good spot. Angie Ellis.
If you don't have as much money, I think usually Twin Peaks is pretty good too.
That's where you want to go on, Rob Gurr.
Yeah.
Yeah. Angie Ellis. So I told him, I go, listen, Rob, you've known me for a long time. You got my number. Here it is again. And email. Quicker reply that way, man. I'm telling you, goes, Facebook. There's 3 Facebooks. And then there's other messages, those hidden ones you told me about. Then there's Instagram, direct messages.
Hey guys, I gotta hit the bump.
Fucking Twitter. All right. Angie Ellis, watching from Northeast United Kingdom. How do you feel about Artem Lobov headlining? So we touched on that earlier.
Listen to the latest episode of this show or the rest of the SiriusXM Rush lineup anytime you want, on demand with the SiriusXM app.
I just don't think they had as many high-ranked featherweights ready for
cup.
The
UFC, the WWE, Covino and Rich and Barstool Radio. This is SiriusXM Rush 93. Check out our full lineup at SiriusXM.com/rush.
So they were forced to go a little bit deeper into their ranks, into their vault of featherweights. Lobov talks a good game, and win or lose, I think his fights are solid, so I think that's why they went with Cub, plus the McGregor effect. All right, here's a guy that writes a lot. John Kim. He was trying to tell me that Sakuraba was one of the 4 greatest of all time. I think Sakuraba had a greatness to him. He was an entertainer. I think what he represented, being probably the best Japanese athlete we've ever had in combat sports altogether. Like, I really think there's something to that. I get that there's different meanings of Mount Rushmore, but once I establish performance-based, Sakuraba doesn't qualify. Favorite of his, favorite of yours. All right, cool. I liked him too. I loved his entrances. I think he was a Gracie killer for a while. He had something going on, but I just don't think he reached those levels of fucking what John Jones and Anderson Silva and some of these other guys did.
He wasn't
Therefore,
dominant,
I would leave him off.
But he did a lot, and he carried the flag for Japanese MMA for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. I mean, there's a lot of fight. Like even when Clearwater Beach Bad Guy said Ronda Rousey, there was like a little bit of me that went, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, his list was actually
you can make
pretty good.
You can make arguments for a lot of people, but at the end of the day, if it's going to be performance, it's going to eliminate a lot of people, like the Sakurabas, like the Royce Gracies.
Right. So he says that Matt Hume called him one of the greatest. Of course he did, man. He worked with Pride very closely for many years, and that's a respect thing. But I don't believe he would be one of his 4 on his Mount Rushmore. And I believe even Matt Hume would admit that. But was he a great fighter? Yeah. Was he an all-timer? Yeah. But he's not one of the 4 greatest. And the Mount Rushmore we talked about here was about performance. Justin Deckelman says he wasn't eligible for parole, so he was fucked.
Yeah,
so he wasn't moving at all. I knew he had a life sentence, but sometimes there's life without the possibility of sometimes there's a life sentence, but you still get the parole. And so me, if I had a daughter and there was a chance, I'm sticking around.
What Danny just say?
Back in a minute, I think.
No, now it's back in 30, but now it's back in 20.
Wait, now?
And then another thing I heard was, I think it was the same guy, John Kim, wrestlers created the rules. Yeah, I mean, Blacknick, I'm sure had something to do with it. But so did Hazard, so did Big John McCarthy. They weren't just driven for wrestlers. Calm down with that already.
Here we go.
And there goes John Kim with about 10 messages. I'm skipping along here.
Charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Man, we could do a whole show just reading social media, Goes. Facebook.com/official MMA Junkie. You can also reach us on our radio page, Facebook.com/MMA Junkie Radio. Don't write us messages there, though. Our emails aren't hard to find. Just it's quicker reply that way. Seriously, there's probably 20 spots where I have to retrieve fucking messages. Throw in WhatsApp and Voxer. I'm telling you, that drives me nuts. And you know what the worst thing I was telling Julia? The worst thing about getting caught up, closing that pen, and the book, you're like, yes, I'm all caught up. You know what the worst thing is?
What?
When I log back on and turn them all on, and then here come the fucking replies right back at me with even more questions. And to people who I've told, don't write me here for a quicker reply, here's the email. Go there. It's like they just skim through all that and come back, and then here, once again, I'm just going to go in there. I'm close to doing the whole delete thing on Twitter again and just starting over.
You brought it up earlier.
I did it once. Some people took offense, and I didn't mean anything personal by it. I even deleted Goes and the show, and I just started from scratch. I woke up one morning, and I go, who do I want to hear from on Twitter? And I go, all right, Goes, the radio show, MMA Junkie, of course, our colleagues, our writers, and then some of my favorites like Kevin Aioli and Brett Okamoto and a couple hot chicks or whatever, the LA Lakers. And I just started like that. And in that process, you don't know how many people hit me up within hours. Why'd you delete me? What the fuck? Yeah. Why you stop following me?
How do they know?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You brought it up earlier where you said that you don't like to give short answers. And I'm with you. I was that guy too.
I've done it a few times, but
I don't like to do it. I would rather make you feel special. I mean, if you're going to take 2 hours out of your day to listen to the show, I can take more than 30 seconds to write you back. But I've noticed that I think the show's gotten to the point where there's so much now that you can't do that. And so what ends up happening is instead of me writing you back really quick and saying, oh, I'll write that guy later, a better message, you get buried. And so I've just learned to kind of give shorter messages now, and I hate doing it. But, just yesterday I said, somebody said, hey, love the show, great, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote back, thanks, champ. It's just stupid, right? But at least I wrote him back, right?
Yeah.
But I don't like doing that.
All right, you ready for my 3-teamer for this weekend?
Let's hear it.
Here we go. It's UFC Fight Night 108, taking place in Nashville, Tennessee. I either like 3 teams or 5 teams, and or fights or fighters, whatever you want to call them, however you want to word the parlay.
You like.
And I'm gonna quote the odds from Bovada. Why? Because we've done it for 10 years. So rather than start going to Bookmaker or Bet DSI, and just gonna throw everywhere. I'm just pretty consistent with Bovada, and I don't use Bovada, so I have no affiliation towards them at all. All right. So this weekend, the 3 that I like is Joe Lazon.
Okay.
Because why? Because I know Joe is going to give me an honest camp, and he's an underdog, by the way. So I'm going against the grain here. He's plus 160. I know he's going to give me an honest camp, and I know he's done his homework. Him, his coaches, And then they've done their homework again and again and again. They study their opponents. They study their social media. They study their habits, their tendencies. Aside from that, Joe on the ground is a nightmare if he can get it there. But in the stand-up, of course, he's not the flashiest, the fastest, the most powerful or anything. But I think he has at least good habits. Now, he does have a lot of wear and tear. He does open up a lot. And he's not afraid to lose. That's the part that's a little scary because he wants to put on a show. But I've made some money off this guy, and I made a lot of money off him as an underdog. So I'm just going to go. I mean, I know Stevie Ray's a beast for sure. But I like the odds. And for this damn thing to pay, because I'm put $20, and a $20 three-teamer should pay you $120 6 times. But if I take some underdogs, it's going to pay me more. And if I can get that 120 somewhere in the 300 range, then I'm stoked. So that's one of them. Jake Ellenberger's my other guy. Look, Mike Perry's, I mean, I'm not hating on the guy. He's pretty legit. He actually talks a good game. I think he's built this up nicely with Jake. But I really think there's something for octagon experience. And Jake, when he's on, he's got dynamite in his fists. He's with a good camp. And again, when he's on and when his team kind of fights like in bunches as well, I feel like there's a little bit of that momentum that carries. Plus, I've heard that they've imported some top-notch world-class wrestlers and kickboxers. And so it's not just the Verdums and the Babaloos and Coach Cordero, and Benil and Jake pushing each other. It's actually experts in different crafts, different sports, different martial arts that are coming in and that are fine-tuning, a lot of these guys. That's why you saw a lot of improvement in Benil Dariush. Who in the hell would have thought Benil Dariush at some point was going to be outstriking Edson Barbosa? Nobody thought that. He was doing it prior to getting caught. So that's another underdog I like. He's plus 150 against Mike Perry. Mike Perry might wind up being a beast. He's kind of that meathead jock type guy that can talk a good game, back it up or whatever. And I have no hate towards his hustle at all, but I just think it's too early in the game versus Jake Ellenberger. All right, my last one is Brandon Moreno, plus 165. It's a dog day afternoon in Las Vegas, folks, even though it's morning. Brandon Moreno's plus 165. Again, this guy just keeps getting better and better and better. Now he's isolated himself with Dwayne Ludwig, with TJ Dillashaw, with Joseph Benavidez. I like when those lighter weight guys kind of hang out together and push each other because I see improvement in them all the time, and I think Moreno's one of those guys. I think Dustin Ortiz, I've seen the best of him. He may surprise us one day and make another run. I don't know. I might be wrong. But I think I've seen the best of him. And he's solid. Don't get me wrong. But I think Moreno, his transitions, man, are really, really smooth. And when he attacks and he goes after you, I love that he has that killer instinct. So there you have it. That's my 3-team parlay for UFC Fight Night 108 this weekend in Nashville. Brandon Moreno, Jake Ellenberger, and Joe Lozon. Let's take this quick call, and then we got to take our second break because we're running a little bit behind here in this session. Marco in Waco, what's up?
Marco from Waco, Aurora. You know what?
What?
Today, we find out that Aaron Hernandez hung himself, and it's one of those times that it's like, good, dude. You don't need to be on this earth. Yeah. Whatever. Fuck that dude. Think like he hung himself. I'm going to give you my parlay, man.
Okay.
I'm going to surprise you because I'm picking Lovett over Swanson. That is a big underdog.
Wait. Marco, hold on a second. Yeah. All right. Matt and Mike from the Sportsbook, they're listening to the show. They're wondering if they can send their private jet or limo for you. They heard your pick, and they need gamblers like you.
They want you to make more bets like that here.
The limo?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They'll send a limo for you, Marco, if you're anywhere nearby, or the jet if it needs to go to Waco.
Yeah, I'm picking some proof over the Lima, and I'm picking Albi over Carlos Laters. That's my 3-10.
OSP's good. If I'm gonna give you 5, which I will after the next commercial. There's one of them, and I'll tell you who the next one will be after the break. But I also was looking at OSP. He's a favorite in his fight, but I think he's gonna bounce back. I've seen a pattern to the way this guy fights. He should not have lost the last one, honestly. what he did. But I think this one in Tennessee is going to rise to the occasion. I think Ovin St. Preux goes from a scale of 1 to 10. He's reached about an 8. You know, the Joneses and Cormiers are 9.5s and 10s or whatever. But he can also fight like a 4 at times, and that's kind of the scary thing. Is a lot of guys, when they reach a certain 8 status, they may dip to 7.5 or 8.5, and if somebody just better than them beat them, then fine, whatever. But there's sometimes he fights like a 4. I think he's going to come back. He's going to fight like an 8, 8.5 maybe. I think it's going to be one of his best performances. That's a good pick. I like that one, Marco. So you got Lobov, OSP, and who?
And Sam Alvey. Well, if OSP is going to fly that Tennessee Volunteers flag in Nashville, he better win. That's what I got to say. Well, I'll catch you guys tomorrow.
See you, Marco. All right, folks, we're going to take our break here. When we come back, I will tell you my 2 other picks if you want to go 5 deep. I kind of released one right now with OSP, but there's another one out there that I think has a good chance. I think there's some good opportunities to make some bank here. And with some of you that are coming to the gathering, let's make it together. The gathering is less than a month away, or about a month away, because some people start trickling in a little bit early.
That's true.
So it's your final stretch to do your camps, your drinking camp, your weight camps, and maybe start putting a little bit more money aside by taking chance on a $20 3-teamer or 5-teamer. Who knows, man? You may have some spending money for the Junkie Gathering. We'll talk to you in a few minutes after we come back from this break.
King Kong has a lot of shit on them. Like a lot, especially Goes. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Goes, you ready to hear what this parlay pays?
Which one is it, the 5-team or the 3-team?
The 5-team. Oh, sorry, the 3-team.
Yeah, what does it pay?
3-team pays, or 3 fights, $20, pays $324.
$324. What does mine pay?
And it's Lausanne, Ellenberger, and Brandon Moreno.
I have Lausanne. It's plus 160.
All right.
I'm taking Sam Alvey at minus 115.
Okay.
And I'm taking Alexis Davis at minus 280.
Wait, who's she fighting?
Cindy Danwell. I know, man, but I think it's you know how you talked about bounce back fights like OSP? I think this is Alexis Davis's bounce back fight.
111.
111?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Alexis is minus 280, and Alvy's minus 115.
And
you sure you didn't mean to say you want to take the underdog, Cindy?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
That's why I was laughing. All right, Cindy is plus 220.
That'd pay a lot.
She's got some really good wins. A lot of people don't know much about Cindy, but look at her record. Can you pull it up?
Sure.
Yeah, look at Cindy's. Read off to me some of her wins. Anyway, that one will pay 291. Your 20 will pay 291 on that one. All right, so OSP was basically my next one. So we have $20 5-teamer. Joe Lazon plus 160. Jake Ellenberger plus 150. Follow along here, folks. And Brandon Moreno plus 165. I also believe OSP will rise to the occasion in front of his home state. He's minus 170. My last one is, I think, again, we've seen the best out of Latus. I think Alvy's going to rise to the occasion and win as well.
I think so.
Now,
too.
what's scary is I promote
Cardio.
underdogs. Yeah, you're right. I promote underdogs a lot because that's what makes these big paydays. But you can't get too carried away because this sport is built for favorites to win. When I'm quoting like minus 170, minus 220, you know what I'm basically saying? I'm basically saying the Jets are at New England this weekend in football. Who do you think's going to win? The Patriots are minus 10, which is the equivalent to about a minus 220, 270, 300. I don't know. Very, very few people are going to go, give me the Jets. They're going to invade, Gillette Stadium and take down Tom Brady. I mean, the Patriots just don't lose much at home. So that's basically what a lot of these are. So we realize that. But stuff does happen in our sport. It's wacky. It's a hard one to bet. If you put a little bit on a couple underdogs, it'll pay off. Alvy comes in at, where was that fool at? Sam
Alvy's
minus 115.
All right, here's some of the wins.
Well, let me tell you what it pays, guys.
Oh, yeah,
that 5-teamer pays 1,000. 1,002.
For 20
off
bucks?
of $20.
Oh. All right.
All of them are winnable, too. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Marloes Conan.
Conan, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Cindy did. Oh, that's who she beat, all right.
Yeah. Sheila Gaff. Yorina Bars, the girl that defeated Cyborg in Muay Thai. Megan Anderson. Jessamine Duke.
Cindy Dandu was no joke, man. Now, I've seen her at times, and I'm like, wow, how did she beat them? Because I feel like she's still developing, I guess. But she has beaten some of those names. So, Alexis Davis, who hasn't fought as frequently. And Alexis Davis, by the way, she's no slouch either.
Baby.
Yeah, she did. People ask, how did she get there? Because she performed so poorly against Ronda Rousey when Ronda Rousey was at her apex. But Alexis Davis also has a lot of skin on her walls. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk to Chaz Skelly. We'll take your calls, too, 866-522-2846. And we'll talk a little bit more about this gambling stuff because I'm fired up now, man. I think there's some possibilities out there. $20 to win 1,000 for crying out loud. It don't get any better than that. Stay close. We'll be right back.
I'm gonna keep on the run. I'm gonna have me some fun. It cost me my
All right, so we're going through a commercial and a sports update on Sirius XM right now, but once again, we're live to you. I'm going to keep scrolling through some of these comments. This is kind of like our chance, man. The show moves so fast, I can't always get to these, but I'm hearing a lot of Conor versus Tyron Woodley talk. You think this, maybe that's their way of posturing towards Floyd as if to say, hey, man, you got to start coming down a little bit in your price, otherwise we got options?
Oh, my God, that was so funny. some kid just came running through with one of those inner tubes, and his inner tube hit the guy in the suit, and the guy like flopped. He went, whoa, like that. Anyway, no, I don't think so. I honestly think.
Well, why are we hearing it a lot?
I don't think Floyd's gonna budge at all.
Why are we hearing it a lot, though? Are you hearing it?
Yeah, from people, but I don't think Floyd's gonna budge, and I don't think he's the type to be bullied into anything.
Connor's coach made it sound like a wrestler with an overhand right. I'm like, man, I know that that's the new way to sensationalize, but I would say Tyron Woodley's way more than that. I mean, he's got some of the hardest kicks out there. What Tyron does seem to have as of late is maybe he's too cerebral and he's not pulling the trigger, but I don't know, man. That's a tough task for Conor McGregor. I think Stephen Wonderboy would have been a little bit easier for him.
I've seen Floyd hold things up for the size of their gloves in boxing.
Yeah.
All right. That dude just doesn't budge.
Seth Ross says we sit on Connor's nuts and we worship him.
We do.
A lot of people do. No, not us. I think
2 minutes.
I think just MMA fans in general. Okay, this is not WWE. It's MMA, according to Seth Ross. Yeah. John Kim. John Kim is just on fire. That guy must type like 200 words a minute. Is Mama Skelly here in the chat? Chasm was asking. He's right. Sometimes Chaz Skelly's mom pops into the chat, so please be respectful. Danny, did I give you his number? You haven't been answering me in the VX. Is yours up?
My VX is you sent it to me in the email.
Oh, I did. Okay, so we're good.
Do you think John Kim's boss just walks by it every day and is like, dude, that guy's a hard ass worker. Every time I look
he's just
over
pumping away.
He's typing away.
Yeah. Let's see here. Dave Davidson is here. All right, good to see you, Dave Davidson.
Dave Davidson.
No, WhatsApp. What year are you from? Is WhatsApp played out?
That's what I thought. Okay, I'm a Voxer guy.
Yeah.
But then you and Kenny also told me about.
Yeah, WhatsApp's crushing it. I'm close to just deleting Voxer because I only talk to Danny and P, and if they're Danny, Howie,
you never talk to me. Don't lie to the people.
Howie D. And if they're not on it and they're on WhatsApp, I know Howie D is. Then I think I'm just gonna do that because I just can't fucking keep up with it all.
Really?
30.
Yeah, and now people are like, go to Snapchat.
I think that's the one that I'm not going to budge on. That's my Titanic in Star Wars.
Chasm says Connor retired today. What's he talking about? King of Pancrase. Hi from New Jersey, Dave. Dave Hadchanel is his name. Alfonso Berry. GSP is the reason Ben Askren won't get signed.
Hi guys,
to big GSP is a big pay-per-view job, man. I don't know if that's the reason, because if that's the reason, wouldn't you want 2 GSPs? All right, we're coming back.
And whatever comes our way, yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a loving embrace. Fire all of the guns at once and explode into space. I like smoking lightning.
Tell me if I'm being petty.
No, not yet. I think I'm waiting for the spot.
Okay.
And the feeling that I'm under. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a loving embrace. Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space. Like a true nature's child, we were born to be wild. We can climb so high. I never wanna die. Born to be wild. Born to be wild.
That's the spot.
Yesterday I went to the supermarket and I got some stuff and I got everything except for a can of beans that I need. Okay?
Right.
Now this is my thought process. I need that today. So I was going to go to the supermarket I was going to go to Albertsons. But they don't have self-checkout. You have to actually go up to a person. So I may go further and go to Glazer's just to get it because they have self-checkout. The reason I'm going to do that, I don't want to be the one guy that just walks in for beans. Because I feel like that cashier is going to tell their friends, yeah, today this beaner walked in. And guess what he had? The only thing, and they love them beans. And I don't want to, I don't know, it's like weird or something. So
well, if you go there often, I wouldn't do it. But if you don't go to Glazier's often, then I wouldn't worry about it.
So just be that guy that walks
or
out.
Albertsons often. Yeah, what do you want from me? Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Yeah, in fact, play along with it. Like, what'd you expect?
Yeah, even the people in line kind of give you that look, So, yeah, I guess I'd have to give them the what'd you expect.
Danny, is my VX down, or do we have Skelly yet?
On at 11:30.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay.
That's what the email said.
Yeah, I apologize. Please call Skelly now.
Wow.
Okay, will do.
Yeah, all right, cool, thank you. So, a story popped up. WS goes Back to the Future, rebrands as Professional Fighters League. Have you read up on it yet?
I did. So they're going to take...
I saw some sort of an announcement.
They're getting, I think it's 7 weight classes, and each one
$1 million
gets a $1 million payday, and then there's 3 left over, and that 3 gets divided amongst the other.
So that's
fighters.
it? No more World Series of Fighting, as we know it?
Well, not as we know it. Well, they still have, I think, 4 more cards, right? Something like that. This isn't until 2018.
Oh, that's right. They did say that, yeah.
So, I don't know how that's going to work, though. That is a big payday, though.
And they're doing teams.
No, I think it's more just like a season.
A season, okay. We'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I think they earned that. 2 guys locked into a cage. You're going to watch them.
I think they earned it from us, and if not for them, we would have never heard from Justin Gagey and Marlon Moraes and some of the other athletes that they produced. I think they resurrected careers. Arlovsky, Branch, Anthony Johnson. So I think they've earned that. I got to go through the details, though, and see. The $1 million payday may draw in some good fighters. Those big talk for Road, I think in Asia. Road FC. Dominic Robinson was trying to get on there because it was like a $1 million payoff. So we'll see. But it's funny because Tough starts tonight as well, and I started thinking, do we tune into Tough for the coach's drama? To really find the next star?
No.
We have nothing better to do on a Wednesday. We just like a good fight. What's the reason? Because I'm digging more finding the prospects through Victory, through what used to be RFA and LFC and now LFA. Some of the smaller organizations, that's where I'm looking for the prospects. Cage Warriors.
The coaches
and so on
are the ones that bring you to the show. The fighters are the ones that keep you there.
Yeah.
I think that's the formula. Going back to World Series, though, I think the biggest question is what happens with the current champions, right? What does that belt mean now?
I don't know. But Ray Seffo lives in town, so maybe we need to holla at him. All right, let's talk to Chaz Skelly. Chaz Skelly will be competing at UFC 211. That's that stack card that's going down in Dallas, Texas on May 13th. Stipe Miocic, Junior Dos Santos at the top of the bill. Chaz Skelly versus Jason Knight. They're on the prelims on FX. That's right, I said it, FX. Maybe Fox Sports has, Fox Sports 1 or 2 has some sort of NBA or NHL or who knows what. So they do this from time to time. They'll be on FX, and we will keep stressing and emphasizing that as we lead up to it. Joining us now is Chaz Skelly. What's up, Chaz? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Great, thank you. Thank you very much for asking. So you're out on the Eastern time zone. Where are you training nowadays?
Yeah, I'm training out here in Florida with Combat Club, Henry Hoof, Greg Jones.
Okay.
Just doing the wrestling.
I noticed a couple of the guys are still using Melanson. He was in AJ's corner, and I know Michael Chandler is a big Melanson guy. Is Melanson still part of your team, or is it all done? Is all your training done at the Combat Club?
No, he's over with Black Zillions. We're over here with Combat Club. I've seen him a couple times, but he's not part of our team.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, wanted to ask you, when we talk about sometimes gym buzz, momentum, AJ just dropped the fight. It's a little disappointing. Wasn't his best fight for sure. And then, of course, we saw that he retired afterwards. But I wanted to ask you, what's been the morale of the team and the coaches after his fight, and is everything marching forward? I guess business as usual with anybody else that has fights coming up.
I mean, I think the team does really well. That everybody meshes together really well, and there's always a real positive vibe in the gym. You got to think. I mean, Anthony lost, and that's really unfortunate. That sucks. And, he's retiring, and that's unfortunate too. Everybody loves to watch the guy fight. Everybody loves to watch him knock people out. But you got to think we also had Des Green, won on the card. Mm-hmm. So is that we didn't just lose out on the card. We had a guy win, we had a guy lose, and sometimes that's the way it goes. This sport is this is a pretty selfish sport. So really, you just got to pick up and move on. You got to, or not pick up and move on, just move forward, because everybody, me, for instance, I mean, what are we going to do? We're not going to sit around being down about a guy losing. It's unfortunate, but, he's going to pick himself back up and do better things, moving forward. We all know that. So we just got to get ready for our fight. Mm-hmm. But the vibe in the room is really positive.
You're 17-2 overall, which is a very impressive record. And you have a high finishing rate. You have, 13 out of 17 have been finishes. You're 6-2 in the UFC. No disrespect, but I feel like there still isn't a buzz for you like there should be for someone that's 17-2 overall and 6-2 in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm ugly. I don't know.
That's the case. Nobody would listen to our show.
One of the topics, I guess, on our show has just been, who does the promoter need to promote, or do the fighters need to help the promoter promote? And with us transitioning into the WME, IMG, into their regime, I guess my question is, like, what do you think? Because I feel like you're kind of like at that age, 31, with a great record. You have a big fight in your home state. I mean, this could really, really be huge for you. So from your end, like, has self-promotion changed in any way, or are you going to leave it in their hands, or, is at least mixing up with Jason Knight, who's also fairly popular? You think this is it right here?
I think it's a little bit of give and take. I think you have to promote yourself, and I think that the organization has to also promote you because they have so many more avenues than you do, so many more connections than you do as the athlete. I haven't done a great job of promoting myself, to be honest with you. And I don't blame that. I don't blame the fact that I don't have a huge buzz around me, huge following. I don't blame that on anybody else but myself. I could have done a much better job of promoting myself, a much better job of getting myself out there, because I'm a pretty funny guy. I like to, I do some crazy stuff. I like to have a good time.
We can barely hear you there, Chaz. If you can get a little closer to the receiver.
Fine.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, cool. But, for me, I'm not very good at documenting, putting it out there on social media and doing things like that. So I think I haven't done a great job of promoting myself, and obviously I don't feel like there's been anything done to, help me out from their standpoint, but that's not their fault. I could ask. I think if you ask and you put yourself out there, then they are willing to help you. I just haven't. So
here's how I'll tie it all in. People have been asking, why is Artem Lobov fighting Cub Swanson? And I'm thinking, well, obviously him being McGregor's buddy helps. He talks up a good game on social media, but his record is definitely not as outstanding as yours is. I enjoy watching him fight. I will say I enjoy Artem fighting because win or lose, he goes out on a shield. But I'm thinking, why isn't a guy like 6-2 maybe in that position, or even Jason Knight, your opponent 3-1? He's got a little bit of thing going on with a 3-fight win streak. They call him Hig Diaz, and so I'm wondering who's not making some of these decisions.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as Artem Lobov, I think it probably has a lot to do with Conor McGregor's pool. Obviously he's a superstar now, and he has a lot of pull. So, I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. Maybe he just pushed the right buttons with Cub Swanson, kind of calling him out, calling him a pussy or whatever. And then Cub was just kind of like, I'm sure that, I'm not saying the guy's talented. I like, like you said, he's a slugger. So he's going to go out there and knock somebody out or probably get, choked out or something. But I'm sure that Cub looked at it as like, sure, this guy's going to call me out. I'm willing to take an easy payday. Mm-hmm. Not saying that it's going to be an easy payday, but I know that that's probably what he's thinking. So, I don't know. Maybe he just pushed the right buttons with Cub.
By the way, I know this is going to be huge for you in Dallas, Texas, but, you are on the prelims versus Jason Knight. If you were offered the same scenario, would you rather headline versus Cub in Nashville, Tennessee, or would you rather fight in your home state under this massive pay-per-view card? Like, did it work out the way you wanted it, or is there something to being the headliner and, on your own card?
Oh, it worked out exactly how I wanted. It's what I asked for. I asked to be in Dallas. And, for me, with this fight, more than gaining buzz around my name or, getting more followers or people to watch me, I wanted to fight in my hometown so that the people from Azle could come out and watch, the people that I grew up with. It's impossible for them to get out and go watch me anywhere else, so Dallas is really the only place that they could come and watch, unless there was a card in Fort Worth or something like that. A lot of these guys, the tickets are expensive, man. Hotel rooms are expensive, and people can't afford to travel and take a whole weekend and take their family and come watch me fight. So what I wanted was to fight in front of my fans and give them the people who have been following me my whole, basically my whole life, watching me wrestle since I was a kid, coming up through high school and college. And a lot of these people have followed me. I'm from a small town. So, I got exactly what I wanted. Our
guest is Chaz Skelly, 17-2 overall, versus Jason Knight. Both guys are finishers. Jason's finished 12 of his 16. Chaz has finished 13 of his 17. And check out this prelim. This prelim alone could be a fight night. Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier, Jason Knight and Chaz Skelly. David Branch coming over from the WSOF versus Krzysztof Jotko, who's 19-1. Marco Polo Reyes, who's coming off arguably a fight of the year last year, versus James Vick. Even Jessica Aguilar goes. She's on the prelims as well.
Former champion
at World Series. At one time, she was the number 1 strawweight. And then, of course, the main card has Cejudo and Pettis, Edgar and Rodriguez, Masvidal and Maia, Andrade and Joanna, and then Stipe versus Junior Dos Santos. That is insane. All right, Goes. What do you have for Chaz Skelly?
Chaz, do you have a final number of how many people are coming out to support you? And of that group, is there one person that you wish could be there that won't be able to make it?
I don't have a number of the amount of people that are coming. I know there's going to be a lot. I would expect
50, 100,
a lot
200?
Of people from my hometown. I would imagine way more than that.
Wow.
When I fought local, when I would fight at local shows, I would pretty much sell out the local venues. People have always supported me. People from Azle have always supported me. And I know that, even when we did the friends and family pre-sale, just the pre-sale tickets, I had like 30 orders, so that's, and I don't know how many tickets each person ordered, but I had a lot.
People always talk about the stresses, Chaz. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
That come with fighting near home, because a lot of people start hitting you up for stuff like that, rooms, tickets, all that stuff. Does that go through you? Have you had to endure that, or do you have somebody that handles that for you?
Yeah, I guess it does go through me, but I pretty much just tell people how it is. I think that's just how I am. I'm not really afraid to say it how it is. If people ask me for tickets and stuff, I'm just like, hey, I get 4 tickets. They get eaten up by my family real quick. So, you should have luck if, you're just going to have to buy some. any opportunity that I have to make it cheaper, I will definitely do that for anybody that I can. That's a friend or family that I can. I will definitely do that. But people understand. Obviously people will hit you up for stuff. Friends that you've had for a long time and family and stuff. They're going to hit you up for stuff. It's just you're not going to know unless you ask. That's how I see it. And when people ask, you just got to tell them straight.
If you follow Chaz on Twitter, at Chaz Skelly, he's going to be giving away 2 tickets to UFC 211 in Dallas. He'll announce that via Twitter on Fight Week, so yet even more reason to follow him, at Chaz Skelly. All right, continue, Goes.
Allow me to make a suggestion. And, George, let me know if you co-sign on this or not.
Okay.
But, Chaz, you saw the movie The Karate Kid, right? The original one?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Remember when the Cobra Kai guys for Halloween dressed up as skeletons?
Yeah.
Your whole posse should all dress up in those, and we call them the Skeletons.
I'm in, man.
What do you think? They all
if I lived in Dallas
wearing that same
and I could be part of
paint.
his crew, just give me a double XL
People go,
skeleton
what the hell's
suit.
going on up there? Those are the Skeletons. You don't mess with them. Chaz, make that happen.
It's so original.
You gotta do
I think
it,
I think Skelly is actually just like a shorter name for skeleton. I think people have called those fake skeletons that they use. I think people have called those Skellies. So
have they?
Hey, the skeletons are just the Skellies.
I've seen a lot of wacky things here in Vegas, and there was a bachelor party, and there was 5 guys dressed as skeletons, and the groom was Daniel LaRusso. He had the karate outfit. Yeah, I've also seen some Hoosier guys as well.
You know what skeleton gets a bad rap?
Awesome.
Which one?
Skeletor. I'll tell you why.
The one from He-Man?
Yeah, because when people go, oh man, he was drawn out, he looked like Skeletor. Skeletor was actually yoked.
Uh-huh.
He just has a skeleton head, but his body's yoked.
Uh-huh.
People need to stop doing that. Chaz, your record, George touched on your record.
Yeah.
It's very good. You have 2 losses. Those 2 losses, a lot of fighters say losses sometimes can be the best thing that happened to them. What would you say those losses taught you in your career?
I think those losses taught me more than anything that you have to be smart. You have to. Well, one of the losses taught me that I have to be smart and make better decisions with when to take fights and when not to take fights. The Elkins fight, I wasn't prepared for the fight. I had my camp was just awful, no preparation. I couldn't stay in the gym, so for that fight, I think it just taught me to really be smarter with my career and be persistent. Keep training outside of camps. Stay in shape. Eat right. Make the weight cuts easier on myself. That's something that I've really, really stressed in my last couple camps. I've been working with Douglas Fry. He's a good friend of mine that I've trained with for a long time, and he's a great nutritionist. And we started working together a couple camps ago, and you can literally, I was spending leading up to fights, the equivalent of days in hot tubs and saunas, just crazy amounts of time cutting weight, getting ready for these fights and just killing myself. 2 fights ago, when I fought Maximo Blanco, I spent a total of 30 minutes in a hot tub total, and that was my weight cut, So, and then for this last fight, it was a little longer, but really the bulk of my weight cut was the night before. And I think I probably did maybe an hour and a half total of cutting weight. So, yeah, I think just being smart, man, being smart with my body, being smart with my whenever you gotta, if you have to pull out of a fight or you shouldn't take a fight. Honestly, you shouldn't take it. It's your body, it's your brain that's getting hit, So just to be smarter.
By the way, I know that Henry stresses the knockout. How has he been able to blend your wrestling mentality with obviously what he wants and what they train for, going from when he was with the Black Zillions and now under his hoof striking system? the knockout. Has that been a tough adjustment, an exciting adjustment? How would you categorize, that type of mindset that's set within his camps?
Well, honestly, my mindset, I really don't have I know when you look back at my fights, you can see I've done a lot of wrestling, I've done a lot of grappling. But my mindset going in isn't just wrestle. I love to strike. I mean, I don't mind getting hit. I love knocking people out. I love striking. It's something that I actually enjoy. But like I said, I break people down. I break down their film, and I take the fight where I think I'm stronger than they are, and that has just so happened to be grappling in a lot of cases. So, I've used my strikes to get into my takedowns and out-grapple people, but I think Henry has done a really good job of breaking down my fundamentals and making me more confident with what I have to work with. Because, I'm a weird guy. I'm a kind of funky everywhere. I have a different style with grappling, with striking. That can be hard for a coach, to really break it down and say, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong over and over and over. But I think that Henry's done a good job of staying on me, of fundamentally breaking down what I'm doing wrong and working to improve that every day. So, yeah, I mean, the mentality was already there for me to go out there and exchange with people. And I think actually what Henry's done for me, because my striking style when I actually do strike is more of I don't mind getting hit to throw a few punches. I think one thing that Henry's actually done for me is helped me not get hit so much. Helped me be a little more confident because when I'm throwing and getting out of there,
On fight night, it'll be a Texas boy versus a Mississippi boy. If it was like New York City versus Boston, like a guy from New York City versus Boston, or I guess if we want to go state versus state, it'd be New York versus Massachusetts. A lot of people would go, oh, there's going to be a rivalry there. Is there any sort of a rivalry between Mississippi and Texas in regards to anything that carries over maybe from football or just history itself?
No. I mean, not that I know of. I don't know.
Okay.
The only time I've ever heard about Mississippi is in geography class, I guess. I don't know anything. No, I have no recollection of any kind of rivalry there. I would say the only thing I say is there's only room for one redneck in this 145-pound UFC trailer park, and that's me. I think we're both pretty country, so I don't know. I don't. I would say we're probably more alike than have a rivalry, but
Texas and Oklahoma have a rivalry. There'd be something there, right? I'm just wondering how the UFC could also promote its athletes. Like I'm wondering if there's different angles going forward, not just for yourself but other athletes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess there is a rivalry there, especially. With me with wrestling, I've always liked to go up to Oklahoma and wrestle Oklahoma kids. So there's definitely a rivalry there. But as far as Mississippi, yeah, I mean, I don't know of anything for sure.
How is one redneck going to finish the other redneck on fight night?
Just anyway, anything that presents itself. Really, I think I would like to make this a complete fight. I think stay technical and look to beat him striking. Then when the opportunity presents itself, take him down and beat him on the ground. So that's just the game. That's always the game plan. Make it a complete fight and make him fight everywhere. So I would imagine if I had to pick a way for me to win, I would say by submission. I think once it gets to the ground, I'm going to be a little more polished, but you never know. Could be I actually imagine this being a 3-round barn burner, so that's what I'm hoping for.
How about a side bet? Pink slips. The loser gets the other guy's Ford F-150.
Damn. Tractor for tractor.
Tractor for
tractor. I drive a Dodge Ram.
Oh, all right. Well, I took a shot there. I noticed a lot of my friends in Texas drive the Ford F-150.
My parents probably have an old broken down Ford F-150 in their front yard somewhere.
There you go, man. Hey, thanks for making some time for us. I hope you have a safe camp out in Florida. And good luck at UFC 211. We're going to be watching. That's going to be a great fight. I'm really looking forward to not just the whole card, but this fight itself.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Chaz. Take care. See ya. Known that guy for a while through the old team takedown days, and wow, it's 17-2, 6-2 overall. You get what I'm saying, though, Goes, right? That's an answer for you as far as like how Lobov got in. Well, there was probably just I don't know, but I really feel like there's some other featherweights maybe they could have reached for, and maybe this could have been two of them. But WME likes that wave of buzz, momentum, or whatever your name carries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Remind me to share something with you off air.
You got it. Now's a good time. We're going to take our break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. While Goes shares his secret with me, we're going to pay some bills. See you soon.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Well, I'm trying to read up a little bit. You know, the World Series of Fighting was conceived as a tournament format years ago. I remember Justin McCulley told me there's going to be a tournament. Winners get $1 million. But the idea changed a little bit along the way. But it looks like that's kind of what they're trying to revive. So this is what Steven Morocco wrote earlier. The World Series of Fighting originally was conceived as a tournament pitting 16 fighters against each other for a $1 million payout. Bearing the name World Series of MMA, the upstart promotion made waves behind the scenes for more than a year, offering wild sums for new and established talent. When it finally debuted in 2012 as the World Series of Fighting, the promotion scaled down its goals, switching over to the more widely used format of putting on individual fights. Over the next half-decade, it built itself into one of the stronger players in the MMA market. WSOF launched the careers of new talents while helping rebuild veterans who had fallen on hard times. So it looks like that idea is now just being put into practice. President Ray Cefo and the former CEO Carlos Silva, will now respectively serve as Fighting Operations President and President of Event Production and Business Operations. So some of the names are sticking around. And I guess maybe by tomorrow we can start getting a little bit more details as to how this may work out. However, what I can tell you guys, this may be refreshing because there's been a few times. There's ever been a few times where you catch yourself going, I missed the Bellator tournaments. Maybe they came across a little too soon, but what I liked was the results spoke for themselves. So when the tournament happened, even if you went, damn, like I thought Hornbuckle was going to fight Haran or whatever. Well, it didn't happen that way. Hornbuckle and Haran got eliminated. Of course, you know I'm making shit up, but I'm just thinking of welterweight was a really stacked division for them. Whoever was there at the end, they deserved their spot, you know? And there was no arguing with that. And that's a little refreshing, especially through some of the BS we put up with nowadays, you know, and some of the other promotions, primarily the UFC, where sometimes they just go, well, this sounds good to us. This is a moneymaker for us, you know? And we kind of forget about, again, that rise, that playoff. That's what we're used to. We're Americans. Everything's pretty much a playoff. Even college football finally buckled, and it's cute, 4 teams, you know, but it's something. I maybe this will be something that I guess allows them to stand out. With $1 million as a payout, what am I, Asian? $1 million as a payout. This may work out, right? I mean, that might be attractive to some fighters that go, fucking sign me up. Some of the ones that want to resurrect, or some of the young ones that want to gain a belt, win some money, and gain experience.
It's staggered, right?
Oh, yeah, I imagine
the $1 million is what I mean. It's staggered?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
If they're doing 16, you have to fight 4 times, so I would imagine it's maybe 100, 100, 100, 500, or well, that's 800,000. You know, something like that. 100, 100.
What was your favorite tournament?
Ever?
Yeah.
The Strike Force. Staggered.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, that's what they're going to do. It sounds like they want to stagger it per year.
I wish that the UFC, maybe not tournament, because I know they hate saying that, but maybe call it a playoff. You know, anytime when you have 4 guys, and you can do that. Probably could have done that with the middleweight division, right?
Could have done that, yeah.
I think that's cool. You put 2 on the same card, and you just go, hey, man, look. No matter what happens, the winner's here. They're going to face off.
I mean, they did it with women's strawweight in a way. It was kind of a tournament. And then they did it with men's flyweight in a way. It was a 4-man tournament, but still, you know, I don't think it was the worst thing ever. And then Strikeforce had.
That one was good.
It turned out to be pretty legit.
Fun. And
then the Grand Prix back in Pride was money. You know, Joey Odessa made a lot of money off the Strikeforce heavyweight tournament. Did they call it a Grand Prix?
Grand Prix.
In Strikeforce?
I believe so.
Okay. So he was billed as a substitute, Cormier was. He wound up winning the tournament. He wasn't one of the original 8. But his odds were so far out there that he thought, if this guy can somehow get in, I think he has a chance to win. And he put some money on it. I can't tell you the amount. But he cashed. That was one of his best paydays ever. Sharp eye by that man. All right, let's take some calls. Oh, one last thing. Tough. It starts tonight with coaches TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt. Those 2 are slated to fight at the Tough finale, Tough 25 finale, July 7th, I believe, and then July 8th is the pay-per-view. What's that, UFC 213? So a few fights have been starting to sign for that fight card. But you've all seen by now the highlight of Cody Garbrandt choking Dillashaw, and I've been hearing that the teams tripped at each other. But it's pretty cool because it's a comeback season for former toughers. Some have even won the damn thing before. So I think there's going to be some professionalism, but I think there's going to be some familiarity. So when you're watching someone, you're not just like, what? If he or she doesn't grab you, sometimes you're like, just get to the fight. Because each one has an established personality. Even this Bang Bro, he's there, Julian Lane. I think people may get into this, and then again, the coaches' heat, it may turn out to be pretty cool. Sign me up, I'm in.
I'm in.
There's been a couple seasons where I've done it because I had nothing better to do on a Wednesday. But this one, because I really want to see the coaches chirp, and I want to see some of these other guys, see how they pick themselves up. One of them is a current fighter. James Krause is a current fighter with the UFC. So it's not like he was cut and he really needed to resurrect anything. This was just a good opportunity for him. So, yeah, these callers, if you can tell me if you're going to watch Tough tonight or if you think you'll be glued at any point of the season, I'm very curious. Also, don't forget about that parlay we threw out earlier. Lazon, Ellenberger, Moreno, 20 pays 324. But if you take it to Alvey and OSP, 20 pays 1,000. What the fuck? That's crazy, isn't
parlay,
it?
Yeah. You can feel comfortable in every one of those fights. There's not one where you're going, well, something crazy has to happen here. No. They all got good shots.
I'm staring right at it. It is 20 pays 1,000. 100 pays 5,000. That's crazy. Dean in Georgia, what's up, man?
Gentlemen, how's it going? Happy belated on your 10-year anniversary.
Thank you,
Dean.
Dean.
Thanks, Dean.
Hey, good. Hey, I was listening to the show the last few days in regards to Demetrius. I think they've tried to really promote him. If you look at about a quarter of the Fox cards, he was the headliner. He was the co-main event on 2 John Jones cards. Every time that he was the headliner, they had Conor on the card, they've had Michael Bisping, they've had Rampage. They've had some big-name fighters to help support him in that role. And then they even had a Tough that was based and built around him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
good points. Good points. Maybe there's anything. Is there anything more that the UFC could have done? I mean, sometimes they have isolated specials on just one athlete.
I think I know what.
Maybe isolate the run to break Anderson's record, of 10. Sorry, to tie Anderson's record of 10, but then eventually break it at 11.
More Fox desk, something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I think that by putting him as an analyst, because why Dominic Cruz was out, it kept him relevant, and people still get to see him. And then having the champions on there, they already have multiple champions as panels for analysts. I think that's a way for him to get more exposure to people, because people are watching these fights. Millions of people that have watched and been on watched the John Jones fight when he fought 152 and when he fought against OSP. He was the co-main on both of those cards. So
that,
he
my
has
friend,
exposure.
That, my friend, is a great point.
Fox has done a wonder for guys like Dominic Cruz, Daniel Cormier, and Michael Bisping.
Tyron Woodley.
I think it's helped make them even bigger.
Even
stars.
Tyron Woodley, remember he had 18 months without a fight, and he got on there, and he says, by the way, he did an interview recently. He says he's on the cusp of becoming a superstar or star, and he may be sort of right. The cusp doesn't mean you're there yet, but I still think it'll take some more winning. But I think he's doing it in a different way, almost like the Cormier way, kind of like the heel way. I think people may start tuning in just to see him get his ass kicked too. Now, I think when these guys cash their check, they don't care how it shows up, whether they were a heel or a babyface. But I think some people, like you said, going back to people's personalities, some people just like to be liked. Even though they realize, I'm playing a role here, I just feel like some people, that part is tough for them.
And I'll take this question off the air. With the Tough 25, I know they've upgraded the ante in regards to the winnings. They upped it to 250,000 versus 100,000, the normal. Who's your pick to win the competition? I'll take that question off the air for both of you. Thanks. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next month.
All right, see you, buddy.
See you, Dean.
Let me see tonight's episode. Just give me one episode, and then I'll give you tomorrow. I will give you like where I'm leaning on each guy. I don't want to just take the easy route and say, well, Gordon won it 1 year, or whoever.
Well, I was gonna say,
because I don't know what version of Joe Daddy we're gonna see. You know what I mean? Like,
plus he's a little undersized, right? But I mean, I'd say Krause is probably your best bet, right?
Yeah, I gave some picks not too long ago about it, but I think we're already on the cusp of the episode, so I just want to see it, honestly, and make sure nobody got escorted off the set on day one or whatever. But I'll give you an honest answer mañana, Dean. So, folks, between your ears you have what's called a brain. Why don't people use it to its fullest capacity before talking?
It hurts.
Alan Callender says, as scary as Romero, like who? Remember earlier I told you Bisping has fought people just as scary as Romero? Like who? Well, for one, Vanderlei Silva jumps out at me. He fought Vanderlei Silva. Last I checked, he's scary. But, all right, you want a who?
Anderson Silva's scary.
Anderson Silva's scary. Correct. Tim Kennedy was a former Strikeforce champion, so you can't balk at that.
Luke Rockhold's scary, let alone on 2 weeks' notice. Pretty scary.
Right, and he fought him twice. Dan Henderson, last I checked, that's pretty scary. That's one of the all-time greats. I mean, there's like 6 or 7 of them.
Vitor,
now, there's names that maybe weren't as Vitor's scary as well, that maybe just didn't become scary, but they were quality opposition. So, like who? I mean, like who in 2017? If you had written that, that would save you, Alan. But like who? Like pull up the history book. All right, Nick from Vancouver. What's up, Nick?
Oh, shit, what's going on, guys?
Not much, and you?
Oh, man, I just walked in the door. I heard you talking about parlays. I was going to talk about some other stuff, but I can't get down with Ellenberger, man. I can't ride with you on that one. But I was thinking about Penne, Mike Perry, and I might throw some of my Whitaker money on this Lobov guy and do like that kind of parlay there. But
hang on a second.
But I like the Lausanne
So,
pick, man.
Not only do you not like Ellenberger, you actually want Perry over Ellenberger.
Oh yeah, man. I don't think Ellenberger can take Mike Perry's punches.
You're coming to the Junkie Gathering, right?
I am, man. Yeah.
All right. The winner can pour. You see these little waters we keep in the studio? The winner can pour a complete water over the loser, and the loser can't get pissed at any point in the Junkie Gathering, except if we're wearing like a tie and a jacket. Deal?
All right. So you're gonna take Ellenberger. I'm gonna take Perry.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
Deal.
All right.
A water
At any time, as long as
throw the headphones in
at
there
any
too.
time.
Well, yeah. If I'm hosting the show, obviously the headphones might in my laptop.
No.
But at any point, we're just sitting there. You can sneak up behind or whatever. Whenever you feel like the time is now right, and it's on.
The time
people do that.
You think the squirt is better?
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, you know what? You have the choice of either just pouring it over the person behind, over their head, or like Go said, a good squirt as well. That is pretty funny.
I'm down, man. You know
All right,
me, man.
it's a bet.
I'm down to that
It's
shit,
a
man.
bet.
I got no problem with that, man. Hey, man, any time of the day, man, I'm going to take Swanson most of the time, man. But what's he got to gain after this, man? It's just like, it's kind of like one of those fights I call a trap fight. You know, like he's not going to replicate the Du Hoi Choi fight.
Right.
He's
getting paid.
It's not like Artem can't hit.
He's
like,
staying active.
It's unlikely that he's going to win, but right?
He's the headliner bout. He's staying active. He's getting paid. So there are a few benefits. But you're right, as far as like, will that help him climb in the rankings? Not really, but I think staying relevant sometimes is important too.
And he gets hit. That's the thing, right? He does get hit.
I'd like to see him have a fight where
he
doesn't.
He gets
have
to hit
have
Artem
a
as
war,
well.
though.
What's that?
I'd like to see him have a fight where he doesn't have to have a war. Where
Right.
he can just have a good performance and get out of there, be mindful of his body, and come back and do it again in a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, man. You know, like just take the guy down and win, man. Like like Demetrius, man. Don't stand there and bang with these guys, man. Take them down, fuck them up. You know, he doesn't need to prove a point. Like he's been doing this a long. Yeah, you know what's amazing? That guy's never even fought for a title, right?
He has in the WEC.
No.
Yeah, Jose Aldo.
No, it wasn't for a title.
It wasn't?
Jose had just started his climb. It wasn't.
He hadn't taken it from Brown yet?
No, he hadn't taken it from Brown yet.
Yeah, as good as that guy is, right? It's pretty ridiculous, right? So, anyways, guys, 5 weeks, man. I'm there. I can't wait.
Okay.
Water over the head, right?
Water over the head. Or squirt. All right, man. See ya later.
All right, guys.
I love his energy.
That's going to be a fun one because you don't know when it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danny, you want to do Oreo first, then the break, or the break, then Oreo?
I think we should do the break.
Wow, Oreo, he basically said the break's more important than you are. Holy shit.
I want to be able to take
There's like
more
beef
time
between
for
Oreo and Danny or something here, apparently.
You know, Oreo's at his desk going, man, that really sucks.
You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We'll take this break, and then we'll come back with Plan B, Oreo. Stay close.
Forged from the same ball sack, but act as though they've never met. They are the brothers Garcia, Gorgeous George and Goes.
We're going to take Oreo's call here to wind things up. I had told there was in catching up on the Facebook messages, I had told one of the people that wrote me that I would be reading off an iTunes review. They were very polite. They left an iTunes review, but because they're out of North America, it's one of the ones I can't see. So he alerted me to the fact, and I said, okay, cool. You know, sorry I missed this, but we'll get to it. But basically, it's a listener from Wales, Goes, and his name is Adriel Lloyd. So shout out to him. And we're running out of time. I'm going to get Oreo on, Adriel, but tomorrow I'm going to read off some iTunes reviews because there's quite a few of them to read. And thanks for your support. Thanks for listening from Wales.
Cool, man. I was going to say, didn't somebody send us a whole thing of all the ones from the UK? That made it so much easier.
Did we ever read them all?
Yeah.
We did? Okay. All right, Oreo, what's up, man? Finish things off.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for
I just had one thing about the DJ thing. I think everybody's overcomplicating it. what he needs is basically a foil. If you look at all the biggest pay-per-view draws in the sport, they all had either one or two rivals, John Jones, Conor McGregor, you can go on and on. So he just needs, Dodson tried to do it, but he was kind of clumsy in it in your studio. I don't know if you guys remember that. He tried to start some beef with Demetrius, but he was kind of awkward with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he just needs, foil or a heel.
It's not a bad point.
I thought Cejudo was going to be that guy.
Yeah. And Benavidez and him kind of get along. It's almost like too much respect because one's obviously the king and the other one's kind of like the prince. Mm-hmm. But
the problem is you need a guy who's racked up a lot of wins on the other side, and then that's what makes everybody want to see it. But in that division, all it takes is one or two, and you're already there, ready to fight the champ.
You know who could do it? McCall, because he drew with him.
Yeah.
And McCall's got that in him. You know what I mean?
And people want to see McCall get smashed.
Even though he has had his setbacks, it's his opponents too. It's like on both sides of the jinx. And it's not just on McCall. Some of his opponents have also pulled out. But I think McCall, great point, Oriel. I'm glad we took the call. And I think we should have went with the call before the commercial personally, but we went with what Danny decided.
Wow.
All right, thanks, guys. Hey, Artem Lobov, he's plus 375 right now, I think. Great underdog pick. I'm telling you, he's going to be a top 10 guy at the end of this year. So
yeah, he's in Alberta, Alberta, Canada. Yeah, maybe the jet.
There's going to be a jet going from Waco to Alberta. All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, take care.
See you. Thanks to Chaz Skelly for jumping on the show. Thanks to me for booking him. Tomorrow, we will be joined by Brandon Moreno. On Friday, we will have Shannon Knapp co-hosting with us in studio. So we'll talk to you then. We'll have a few more guests as well. Can't name them yet. Don't want to jinx them for Danny and Goes. I'm George. Go out there and be champions.
Never be the same again.